we came together in a meeting and just talked about it and said, hey, this is what's going on, and we just gotta not focus on that. Just go out there and practice. When we go on the practice field, nothing else matters, and all you have to think about is Nebraska.
Beat Nebraska. Whatever we do, keep our heads screwed there and be ready to practice and beat Nebraska this week.
Let's stay focused, minus the distractions, and just keep playing football just like we've been doing.
We have a big game this coming Saturday, and that's really our focus.
They're saying all the right things, Chris. Is it easier said than done?
What are they supposed to say? I mean, you get a camera in front of you. What are you supposed to say? You're going to try to sort of toe the company line, if you will. And I laud these kids for doing it. They're young. They're dealing with the moment, and they're really captive in this moment. But we also know that they got a game to play. They got to be focused. This is a major distraction, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. But the key is, can they rally together? Remember that when you have a cause, sometimes that helps you as a player to really rally up, play together, and play bigger than that moment. That's what they're hoping to do, but they have a big task ahead of them.
It's a big distraction. I think they can address it and overcome it. And regardless of what's gone on, I think this is a team of high character. I mean, every time we go to campus and we interact with their players, we always walk away impressed. I mean, with Silas Redknapp, one of the most impressive interviews you've seen on TV. So they do have a chance, certainly, to refocus. But it's going to be a distraction for sure.
I just think we're taking the human element out of it. I think we're looking at kids and almost making them robots. They know what's going on. They realize the magnitude and the enormity of it, and it's pulling at their heartstrings. There's an entire human element that it's involved to this story. And so that's the thing that's going to be the impetus behind it. Can they tune that out and focus in on the ball game?
I do think this, though, Chris. I think the human element is individual. I don't think it's shared with the team. I think when you get with your teammates, the human element is removed. It's human nature. When you're in your room, when you're talking to your roommate, when you're in a small group, then I think the human element enters, but not in the team setting so much.
But you just don't know which player is going to be affected more by it. I mean, it could be your key player. It could be a player that's second string or whoever never plays. And so I think that's what's going to be interesting to see.
Agree.
I mean, there has to be a part of every kid who's played for Penn State, probably in the last decade. I mean, obviously, a large group of them never ended up having to deal with it, but who thought in the back of their heads, hey, maybe one day Joe's going to walk into that room and he's going to tell us this is it. I just don't think anyone clearly envisioned it would be under circumstances like this. Do the circumstances change your ability to channel emotion? Does the fact that it is a negative note rather than a positive note that he's leaving on?
You're talking finality, right? I mean, this is the last game that he's going to coach there in their stadium. So now you're putting finality into the mix. And I think when it's off in the distance, it's one thing. But when it's right there in your face, now you're living the moments, you're living the minutes, you're living the seconds. And I think that's what these players are doing, Coach.
Yeah, I'm not sure the circumstances would impact a player's feeling. If Joe does continue to coach the rest of this year, I think the players will always remember we were the last team that he ever coached. I think they can separate the negative circumstances, and quite honestly, I hope they do. If the decision is to let Joe coach at the end of the year, then for the players' sake, I hope they do enjoy that experience, because the players of this team have not done anything wrong.
But how hard will it be for them knowing that's his last game? I mean, just putting that pressure amongst themselves to go out and win it at home for him. That's going to be something they got to deal with also.
No question, but there's a certain, even though it's under very negative circumstances, there's a certain celebration about being part of his departure.
It'll be the 14th time these two schools have ever faced one another. The first time since 2003. I think it is safe to say it is certain to be the most unusual meeting ever between Penn State and Nebraska.